If you would have told me a year ago when I was riding 64mm deep Revolve CLX 64s that in a year I'd be riding wheels that were half the depth and loving them, I would have called you crazy. But that's exactly what has happened with the Enve SES 2.3s. And if you've spent years in the deep wheels aero camp like I have, you might want to listen up. For the last couple of weeks, I've been talking about wheel depths, originally based on my observation of Team UAE riding Enve 4.5s for the majority of the tour. And I'll link the previous videos up above or down below if you want to go back and reference them as part of this series. And next week, I'll come to a conclusion on these two wheel sets, deep and shallow wheels in general, and where I think they have a place in our everyday riding. As always, this video isn't sponsored. Enve did loan me this demo set of 2.3s to try, but no money exchanged hands and they have no say in this video. I put a little over 500 miles on the 2.3s, riding them on the SL7 in the mountains of Utah and here in Southern California, and later moving them to the SL8. Specs wise, the Enve SES 2.3s are 28mm deep and 32mm deep front and rear respectively. They come in at 1,274 grams and have an internal width of 21mm. I've ridden them with the 30mm and 28mm Vittoria Corsa Pros and GP5000 STR tires, all tubeless. Setup on these wheels was really easy. It only took me 15 or 20 minutes. And look, that's the beauty of tubeless, is that once you set them up, you just have to add air occasionally and there's really no hassle. I'm a big fan of tubeless. Aesthetically, I was very surprised by these wheels. I've been a fan of the deep wheel look forever, but it's kind of refreshing to have a set of shallow wheels in a world where almost everyone has deep wheels. It just creates a more unique look. On the wheels, the gloss logos against the matte carbon hoops create a clean looking setup. For whatever reason, I prefer the look of tan walls on these shallow wheels. That's just kind of a personal preference for me. The 2.3s are immediately noticeably different from the deep wheels that I've ridden in the past. They spin up so quickly and feel more nimble than any other wheel set I've ever ridden. My first few rides on these wheels were in the Heber Park City area, which included a handful of climbs like Pine Canyon, Guardsman, and Cascade. These are really fun climbs with steep sections that are north of 15 and 20%. The best way I can describe it is that these wheels just respond and they roll over with minimal effort. Hop out of the saddle and the agility of the wheels is even more pronounced. By all metrics, they climb like a proper shallow climbing wheel set. Again, something I haven't experienced in years. This is why I called this wheel set the climber's setup. They equally shine on descents, feeling effortless and seem to flow really well, especially on really fun descents like Cascade. When descending in a straight line, there's little to no interference. It literally feels like you're locked in, going straight and nothing is going to blow you off course. And you might be thinking, well, my wheels don't catch that much wind and they're 50 or 60mm deep. I think you'd be surprised at just how much interference you receive from wind on deeper wheels. You're subconsciously making micro adjustments to account for them, and you don't realize you're doing it until you ride a shallow set of wheels. It's a really cool feeling. Look, you'd expect a shallow set of wheels to climb and descend well, right? I mean, that's what they're made for. What about on the flats? While the 2.3s spin up quicker than deep wheels, it feels like they do spin down quicker than deep wheels as well. I think that's inevitable because, well, and this is my personal take, is that it has less to do with aerodynamics and more to do with the inertia rolling and moving forward. That being said, on the flats is where the 2.3s surprised me the most. They didn't seem to be noticeably slower in a straight line. There was a Saturday last month where a friend and I were just riding along on the coast, 23, 24 miles an hour on the front, side by side, both of us on the 2.3s. And we commented to each other that this was the most surprising feature of the 2.3s, is they just seemed faster than we had expected. They didn't hold us back at all. And that's important to know because the traditional idea is that shallow wheels are slower. And I'm not sure that I agree, especially when you consider the interference you encounter with deeper wheels. You're trading a small amount of spin down for a noticeable improvement in handling, stability, and agility, something that most of us in the real world can benefit from. I'm gonna give this some thought over the next week and come back to wrap up this series on deep versus shallow wheels. Anyways, until next time.